Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. We are from Group 3. Today, we are going to present about teaching methods. Before we begin, let me introduce you the member of Group 3. First, we've got Ayu Agustiani. Then we've got Puji Suwarti. After that, we've got Ihsan Adnani. Lastly, we've got Dwi Elviana. Each member of the group will present their own section. Without further ado, please welcome Puji. Hello, I am Puji. What is the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear the phrase teaching method? I would think of learning in school. Perhaps some of you would think of school or teacher or student. Others may think of method, how you teach something, or instruction, and many more. Well, there's no right or wrong here, because the teaching method is all about those. A teaching method refers to general principles, pedagogy, and management strategies utilized in the classroom. A teaching method is an overall well-planned procedure to facilitate and enhance students' learning and achieving learning objectives. Teaching method can be applied alongside teaching approaches. Good teaching methods have these characteristics: recognizing individual differences, providing students learning, facilitating growth and development, meeting the teacher's expectations as reflected in his instructional objectives. The next section will be delivered by Ihsan Adnani.
Hello, my name is Ihsan Adnani. Now I'm going to explain about the teaching methods. Learning can take place in school, course, and community. There are some differences of teaching at school and course, such as teaching methods used. It is one of the most important elements in teaching. Teaching method is used to help the learners to gain the knowledge and help them to achieve their learning targets. There are 11 teaching English methods actually, so now let's discuss one by one. Number 1. The direct method. The direct method of teaching English is also known as the natural method. It is used to teach a number of different languages, not just English, and the main idea of the direct method is that it only uses the target language that the students are trying to learn. Its main focus is oral skill, and it's taught via repetitive drilling. Grammar is taught using an inductive way, and students need to try and guess the rule through the teacher's oral presentation. Today, popular form of the direct method are Kolan and Berlis. Number 2. The Grammar Translation Method, or GTM. Just like its name suggests, this method of teaching English is grammar heavy and relies a lot on translation. This is the traditional or classical way of learning a language, and it's still commonly used when learning some languages. Some countries prefer this style of teaching, and the main idea behind this method is that the students learn all grammar rules, so they are able to translate a number of sentences. This is particularly common for those students who wish to study literature at a deeper level. Number 3. The audiolingual method, or ALM. The audiolingual method, otherwise known as the Newkey method or Army method, is based on a behaviorist theory that things are able to be learned by constant reinforcement. However, just like in the army when someone behaves badly, or in this case bad use of English, the learner receives negative feedback, and the contrary happens when a student demonstrates good use of English. This is related to the direct method, and just like its predecessor, it only uses the target language. The biggest difference between the audiolingual method and the direct method is its focus of teaching. The direct methods focus on the teaching of vocabulary, whereas the audiolingual methods focus on specific grammar teachings. Number 4. The structural approach. As the name suggests, the method is all about structure. The idea is that any language is made up of complex grammar rules. These rules, according to this approach, need to be learned in a specific order. For example, the logical thing would be to teach the verb to be prior to teaching the present continuous, which requires using the auxiliary form of the verb to be. Number 5. Suggestopedia. This is a behaviorist theory and related to pseudoscience. This method relies heavily on students' belief about the method's effectiveness. This theory is intended to offer learners various choices, which in turn helps them become more responsible for their learning. It relies a lot on the atmosphere and the physical surroundings of the class. It is essential that all learners feel equally comfortable and confident. When teachers are training to use the Suggestopedia method, there's a lot of art and music involved. A Suggestopedia lesson is divided into 3 different phases: deciphering, conversation, and elaboration. Number 6. Total Physical Response, or TPR. Total Physical Response, otherwise known as TPR, is an approach that follows the idea of learning by doing. Beginners will learn English through a series of repetitive actions, such as stand up, open your book, close the door, and walk to the window and open it. With TPR, the most important skill is oral comprehension, and everything else will follow naturally later. Number 7. Communicative Language Teaching, or CLT. The idea behind this approach is to help learners communicate more effectively and correctly in realistic situations that they may find themselves in. This type of teaching involves focusing on important functions like suggesting, thanking, inviting, complaining, and asking for directions, to name but a few. Number 8. The Silent Way. The silent way emphasizes learner autonomy. The teacher acts merely as a facilitator trying to encourage students to be more active in their learning. The main of this way of teaching is for the teacher to say very little so students can take control of their learning. There's a big emphasis on pronunciation, and a large chunk of the lesson focuses on it. This method of learning English follows a structural syllabus, and grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation are constantly drilled and recycled for reinforcement. The teacher evaluates their students through careful observation, and it's even possible that they may never set a formal test as learners are encouraged to correct their own language errors. Number 9. Community language learning. This is probably one of the English teaching methods where the student feels the safe, as there is a great emphasis on the relationship and bond between the student and teacher. Unlike a lot of the other methods and approaches of teaching English as a second language, a lot of the mother tongue is used for translation purposes. Number 10. Task-based language learning. The main aim of this approach to learning is task completion. Usually, relevant and interesting tasks are set by the teacher, and students are expected to draw on their pre-existing knowledge of English to complete the task with as few errors as possible. And the last, number 11, the lexical approach. The lexical syllabus or approach is based on computer studies that have previously identified the most commonly used words. This approach in teaching focuses on vocabulary acquisition and teaching lexical chunks in order of their frequency and use. Teachers of the lexical approach place a great emphasis on authentic materials and realistic scenarios for more valuable learning.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Teaching methods for young learners. Young learners have their own characteristic. They like to enjoy their own life and style. Because of that, we need to understand their characteristic related to teaching English for young learners. Basically, young learners are divided into two categories. First, their age is from 5 to 6 or 7 years old, and 2, from 6 or 7 to 11 or 12 years old. The characteristic of young learners. A. Young learners use language skills long before they are aware of them. B. Young learners understand situations more quickly than they understand language use. C. Young learners have very short attention and concentration. D. Young learners cannot decide for themselves what to learn. E. Young learners love to play and learn the best when they are enjoying themselves. F. Young learners are enthusiastic and positive about learning. Now we will discuss about teaching methods for young learners. But before that, first we will discuss about teaching approach for young learners. Young learners at the entry level are naturally curious about all things new. Songs, fairy tales, cartoons, and storytelling with dolls using hands are very enjoyed by young learners. They can read the same stories, listen to the same fairy tales, sing the same song, and watch the same cartoons hundreds of times. Young learners could enjoy drawing the same pictures and laughing together while learning grammar. Another preparation to teach English is method and media. The teacher should use interesting media and method like songs, colorful cards, and games. Those are suitable for young learners. Young learners like colorful things, games, and happy songs. It is essential to consider the characteristics to decide which teaching methods that will suit for the students.
Wheels on the bus go round and round, round and round, round and round. The wheels on the bus go round
The essential methods of teaching for young learners are based on three principles. First, role plays, two, communicative methods, and total physical involvement. Role plays for young learners has its own characteristics, such as short, simple, repetitive, and conducted in short sessions. Next, communicative methods. This method involves real communication. The characteristics of the method are: first, the teacher is the student's facilitator in learning English. 2. The target language is a means of class communication. 3. The goal is for students to become communicatively competent. 4. Language is used to communicate. 5. Emphasis on language function. 6. Students must be given the opportunity to express their ideas and opinions. 7. The mother tongue of students doesn't have a special role. And the last characteristic is the teacher evaluates the student's accuracy and fluency. And the third principle is total physical involvement. Children are holistic learners and they need to use language with fun activities. Therefore, classroom activities must have connection with their language and learning needs, focus on meaning, emphasize the value of activity, involve collaboration and social activities. Provide rituals with lots of interesting and fun movements and activities, songs, stories, or games that involve lots of gestures in response to rhythms and repetitive language so can save in their memories. There are 6 teaching methods for young learners. Young learners' characteristics plays an important role in how they process information and grasp the idea of a concept in learning. It is essential to consider the characteristics to decide which teaching method that will suit for the students. Here are 6 teaching methods that work better for young learners. First, the direct method, or we used to call it with natural approach, focuses on listening and speaking skills. This method is suitable for young learners because no vocabulary is taught by demonstrations, pictures, miming, or deduced from the given context of a new word appears in. Colorful flashcards, hand-on activities, and any listening materials will draw young learners' attention to engage more in class. The second is audio-lingual method, or ILM. ILM focuses on repetition and memorization of standard phrases and ignores the role of context and knowledge in learning language. ILM is suitable for young learners so that young learners can acquire the communicative skills needed in everyday discourse, especially listening and speaking skills in the target language. The third is total physical response, or TPR. TPR is a language teaching method built around the coordination of speech and action and language teaching through physical or motor activity. TPR is suitable for young learners because TPR is a combination of movement and language to improve language acquisition. The fourth is CLT, or communicative language teaching. The CLT or the communicative language teaching methodology is used to help students improve their speaking ability. CLT is suitable for young learners because it allows young learners to actively participate in activities because it is often accompanied by visuals or imagined events making them more realistic. 5 is the silent way. The silent way method follows the syllabus with grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation constantly being rehearsed and recycled for reinforcement. The silent way is suitable for young students because this method emphasizes the teacher as a facilitator who tries to encourage students to be more active in learning with the silent way so that students can control their learning. And last but not least is CLL or Community Language Learning. Community Language Learning or CLL is the application of the counseling process to language teaching and learning as the theory of human learning emerge. The CLL method is suitable for young learners because they can feel safe and comfortable in a good relationship in the bond between students and teachers by involving aspects of personality, motivation, and emotional factors.
I heard you in music class. You guys can really play. Why didn't anyone tell me? You. What's your name?
Zach.
You play the guitar?
Yeah?
Okay, come here. You ever played electric guitar?
My dad won't let me. Thinks it's a waste of time.
A waste of... Try this one. Okay. There's a guitar pick, and you pluck along with me, okay? If you can. Yes.
The conclusion is, a teaching method is designed in systematic, ordinary, and well-planned instruction to achieve learning objectives for both student-centered and teacher-centered approach. It refers to general principles, pedagogy, and management strategies utilized in the classroom. A good teaching method has characteristics such as recognizing individual difference, providing student learning, facilitates growth and development, and meeting teachers' expectations as reflected in his instructional objectives. Many methods can be applied in teaching English alongside teaching approach. For example, the grammar translation method, the structural approach such as Topedia, text-based language learning, the lexical approach. The chosen method has to meet the learner's needs, especially the young learners. According to Scott and Lisbeth, young learners are those who have age under 11 years old. Young learners have unique characteristics and way of thinking that distinguish them from adult learners. Teachers have to consider these characteristics when deciding which teaching method to apply in the classroom. 6 teaching methods fit young learners are natural approach, audiolingual method, total physical response, communicative language teaching, the silent way, and community language learning.
Now that is a wrap. Thank you so much for your attention. We hope you enjoy our little video. Feel free to flick us a message on WhatsApp TEFC class group if you have anything to clarify. Have a good day and stay safe. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Group 3 signing out.